Oh, like I won a speech team contest.
Yeah.
That's a contest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I won. Oh, good for you. I won the state tournament in Colorado in high school. And I won the national tournament when I was a freshman in college.
Shut up. Shut up.
Won a tennis racket and a raffle at the club when I was 11. Yeah. I remember, I'm so unlucky I never went to yeah.
Shut up, Jade.
I won a carpet at Macy's. Hey, Harold.
Speech and talent. We did Mars Day in the time. And then we finished last, but we wanted to finish first.
Yeah. You do the bird?
We did the bird and jungle and Robert Martin.
Jungle Love. There you go, Judge.
Jungle Love.
Okay, so I beat Jimmy Fallon at Coney Island at some game. But more importantly, when I was in high school, I won the singer sewing contest. I used to make my own clothes. And the mistake was teenagers, and I
Shut up.
Code 7. They used to sing your own clothes. Yeah, with the
And we'll go around the corner. We'll come back.
yeah, definitely. I used to love clothes as a kid.
Yeah.
You
We'll
said
go around the corner.
One year, I won a bench press contest in 1990 in Emmaus, Pennsylvania at a fire hall. Yeah! Bench press half your weight, half your own weight for the most reps, and I won. Yes, I was there.
Bean.
The Dave Fire Department on Main Street, Pennsylvania. If anybody's still alive. All right. What's your favorite thing you bought yourself recently, Judge?
I know. Look, you know. Okay, I'll tell you what it was. I bought the greatest wallpaper for my den.
Nice.
What color? It's like a weave and the grass and a lot of colors.
Wallpaper.
What?
Speaking of wallpaper, what about you, Harold? I bought myself a new rain jacket.
It's exciting. It's not a jacket. It's a jacket I can wear with my jeans, and it's light. Anyway, I like the jacket.
What about you?
I bought a Range Rover.
Did you?
For Jesse Jr. It's a little toy car. I play with it all the time.
It's an EV.
It's an EV
We're
Range.
thinking of an EV Range Rover.
I was thinking about an EV.
Dana.
I got an almond milk steamer and frother.
I love it. It's so great.
I don't have to. It does it for me.
I got a top. That's what I got, you guys. I got this new piercing. Oh no! What do you have this?
Here's to getting better with age.
Here's the Big East Scoop every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need. Without the stuff you don't. So, here's to now.
Hey Frank, how you doing?
Andy Pettitte is one of America's greatest pitchers that has played for the New York Yankees. He has never forgotten what happened on September 11th. To this day, he continues to support those who sacrifice so much for our country.
When a great tragedy comes along like that, how when you really pull together and you love others and you care for others, there can be some good.
Remember after September 11th, that's where I lost my little brother. Ran through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel to save other people, but while doing so, gave up his life.
Grief, I know that you and your family had to go through, but once you've turned that tragedy into really a triumph, to tell you the truth. You guys have made it your life journey now, life work to take care of people, the same people like your brother, the true heroes as far as I'm concerned in our society.
What we did for catastrophic needs of service members and Gold Star families, giving them mortgage-free homes.
The 100-home village that y'all are going to build down in Tampa, it's just amazing.
People protect us overseas and give their life. We better take care of their families that left behind.
I just kept seeing those commercials over and over, and it gets to you, right? I mean, if you're an American,
We really seem to know exactly who we are and the work we're doing.
I really just felt, in my heart, just like, man, this is something I wanted to find out more about, look into, and of course, just be involved.
Oh, by the way, official volunteer now, you know that.
There you go.
We ask most Americans to do $11 a month. I think most people should make that commitment.
Those that we restore, others that ourselves will be restored. When I played for the Yankees, I love doing stuff with military foundations.
How could you not want to team up and join in on what you and the foundation are trying to do?
Join me in supporting our nation's heroes and their families. It only takes $11 a month.
Go to T2T.org.
Introducing Mando, the whole body deodorant that I created with all body odor in mind. I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, and I'm the inventor of full body deodorant, like Mando. Mando actually stops odor at the source, bacteria. You just apply Mando like a lotion, and it stops odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Buy it and try it for 60 days, and if you don't love it, you can return it for free. It's like body odor never even happens, and you're going to be exceptionally stink-free and smell as good as humanly possible.
Upgrade your bra for more confident posture and less pain. Now with a full zipper for easy on and off. Tommy Copper's newest bra is designed to keep your shoulders down, back, and relaxed.
Look at this guy.
This
Look at
next
this
generation
guy.
support bra from Tommy Copper will be your new favorite. Switch to the all-new zip-up shoulder support bra and carry strong, confident posture all day. Go to TommyCopper.com to find out how to save 20% on your first order and upgrade your bra today.
Oh, yeah, check it out, guys.
Voters turned out in record numbers
Oh,
for
yeah,
the
like
GOP race.
We witnessed about 30 migrants crossing the very high Rio Grande.
And around the world,
The IDF pushes deeper into the southern part of the strip.
Backstage Jail, America is watching.
Going down like a clown, dude.
Time now for one more thing.
We got a feeding frenzy situation. It is a situation. Pizza. So everyone's talking about shrinkflation because of Bidenomics. McD said, forget about that. We're going to double the Big Mac. This is a double Big Mac.
Double
4
Big
burger
Mac.
patties. We got the Big Mac sauce. No one knows what's in it. It's a mystery. Pickles, lettuce, onions, American cheese. Dana wanted to know how many calories it has, but I don't care.
Hey, shouldn't be.
Am I? Is it cold? Casey, what is prime time?
It's good.
The American
Fuck yeah, it's good.
Wow, that sounds like a riveting.
Yeah, boy, you're really digging.
There ain't nothing like a McDonald's Big
Okay,
Mac.
here's mine while we have
Make it a double Big Mac.
Imagine having an entire resort to yourself. So that actually happened to one couple. They found out what it's like when their dream vacation took a very weird turn. They arrived at the resort in Los Cabos, Mexico, to find they were the only guests there. They went from laughing at the situation to feeling a little unsettled. Sounds like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, right? Would you like that?
They didn't make any vacation best friends. The people you're going to stay in touch with. And then you never think about them again.
Exactly. Just like stinks.
Los Cabos is Spanish for the calves.
Los Cabos. I don't know why I'm having a hard time talking. It must be Friday. Cut, Bell. You're next.
All right, tonight, do we have a show for you. We got Dagan McDowell, Kat Tim, Julie Banderas, and Underpants Guy. Yeah, Doug DeMario.
Underpants Guy.
You know, we live in contentious times. People can't get along together. It's really bothering me. That's why it's really special when you see two different species getting along together, like this pet bird and dog. Look at them having a great time. Like one could easily crush the other and eat it in its strong jaws. But instead, they play a normal game of tag. You know what the golden retriever's name is? Jasper. And the parakeet's name is Mars. This occurred in California. These are facts that mean nothing to me.
This is what Gavin Newsom is doing to
Yes,
California.
yes.
This is perverts. All right, Judge, you're next.
Okay, it's not necessarily the type of household that police officers make, but one Illinois Illinois officer took it upon himself to complete a food delivery order after the DoorDash driver was arrested before it was dropped off. Let's take a look.
That is great.
Wow. But we want to make sure you guys have so you guys have a good night.
You guys are amazing. Thank you.
So nice. Harold Ford Jr.
Breakthrough gene treatment is allowed 6 deaf children to hear for the first time. The kids in Philly, they got treated there. The treatment, these kids were born with this gene mutation that led to their hearing loss. They got this injection, a version of this gene that counted the mutation. 26 weeks after receiving the injection, the children's hearing levels increased up to 70%. The child you see in the video is an 11-year-old. He was the first child to receive the treatment in the U.S. at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Child. And held for the first time this week. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Go Lions this weekend.
First thing they said is, let's get out of Philadelphia.
She ain't taking anywhere. And they also probably said, go Lions, right? Tyrus told me to pick the Lions at the beginning of the year. Turns out pretty good bet. I think. I hope. Anyway, that's it for us. Have a great night, everyone. Hey, Brett. Of course. Always.
Right there.
Good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm Brett Baer. We're following 2 big stories tonight featuring some very big numbers. Customs and Border Protection says more than 300,000 people, illegal immigrants, were encountered by Border Patrol attempting to enter the U.S. illegally across the southern border in just the month of December.
Wow.
We'll head to the border to report on the major showdown between Texas and the Biden administration. But first, the other big numbers tonight. We begin in New York. A jury is ordering former President Donald Trump to pay more than $83 million in a defamation lawsuit brought by E. Jean Carroll, who a jury found previously was sexually assaulted by Trump in the 1990s. The former president vigorously denied the allegations, and what and how he did that was the subject of this defamation case. Correspondent Alexis McAdams is outside the federal courthouse in Manhattan with the latest tonight. Good evening, Alexis.
Brett, good evening. Yeah, huge numbers here in that courtroom here in Manhattan. Carroll's team said throughout this trial that Donald Trump thinks he's above the law, and his verdict of $83.3 million is meant to show him that he's not. So take a look here. This was a smiling E. Jean Carroll walking out of that courthouse here in New York just a short time ago. You can see it there. For the author, Brett, was awarded almost $100 million. You can see her smiling and hugging her legal team. The jury of 9 people decided that Trump acted maliciously with the motivation to injure her. So the jury took only 3 hours, though, to come out with that verdict. And it was a tense day in court in New York City. At one point, Trump walked right out of that courtroom, ignoring Carroll's lawyers during their closing remarks, as they said it's time to make the former president pay up for his actions. Trump's team firing back, telling the jury that this case had more holes in it than Swiss cheese, again saying that Trump never intended to hurt Carroll, but that he shouldn't have to pay up for other people's comments to her on social media. During the trial, Alina Hava, Trump's lawyer, was in hot water quite a few times, even just today alone. The judge telling her this afternoon he was going to put her in lockup if she kept talking out of line. Hava says this whole thing is one big hoax. Watch.
We will immediately appeal. We will set aside that ridiculous jury. And I just want to remind you all of one thing. I will continue with President Trump to fight for everybody's First Amendment right to speak. Why? Because President Trump is leading in the polls, and now we see what you get in New York.
Carroll won a civil lawsuit against Trump last year. The jury ruled that Trump is liable for sexual abuse and said he did defame the author. So back out here live. In addition to this case, Brett, Trump has 4 criminal cases, and we're expecting a decision in the New York Attorney General civil fraud case that could stop Trump and his family from ever doing business again in New York City. Brett.
Alexis, she originally wanted $10 million, and then it raised to $24 million. Have you talked to people there about this number, $83 million, with the compensatory and the punitive damages?
Yeah, I think this was a bigger number, Brett, than they thought was going to happen. As we heard earlier today in that courtroom, her legal team, Carroll's legal team, said it was going to go from $10 million, like you mentioned, to then $12 million for each of those comments he made in 2019. So that was part of that too. But then these other damages are basically to show him you can't keep talking about this case. So it was to send a message to him because they kept saying he's a billionaire, he's got the money. So what's it going to take to stop him from talking about it? So that's why they came to that big number, Brett.
Wow, that is quite something. More on this from the panel.
Hi, Joker.
Good.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah, man.
Just playing some Magic Arena. Yep.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott has the support of more than 2 dozen red state governors and has shown no sign of complying, taking down that razor blade. That's Texas tonight. The latest on this showdown.
No, I'm not saying it's bad.
As you noted earlier, the United States saw record high 302,000 migrant encounters here at the southern border.
No, it's nice. I'm not saying it's not nice.
Number of migrant
The
encounters
options that you have, if you were to look at the options, you'd be like, I like this one. You would know exactly which one you
larger than the population
the same one
of
that I
the
like.
city of Detroit. And you may recall up to 4,000
I'm
migrants
not saying anything bad. It is nice. She did a good job. She did a fabulous job. But there's that brick one that's leaving. Brown and whatever.
Texas's acting governor Dan Patrick touring Shelby Park the site of the showdown between the Biden administration and Texas. Today,
Now you need a fucking
federal
scissors
government
cord.
issued to Texas to respond with whether it will reopen the border property to
Got curtains. Get it? Got it.
Why do they need to be here? They don't have enough border patrol people anyway. We got it covered. Mr. President, you say you want to secure the
I guess
border.
we can do it in here. I don't want to pull my vacuum out.
Leave it alone. We don't need you down here. In a
Pull the
statement to
rim.
Fox News today, a senior U.S. Customs and Border Protection official says that Border Patrol does not want to go back into Shelby Park to remove Texas's razor wire, writing, Border Patrol has no plans to remove infrastructure, sea wire, placed by Texas along the border. Our posture remains the same. If we need to access an area for emergency response, we will do so. But it was Border Patrol cutting portions of Texas's razor wire that, in part, led to Governor Abbott kicking border agents out of Shelby Park. Fox asked Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick if Texas would be open to any scenario in which Border Patrol is allowed back to the park. I'm not going to speak in hypotheticals of the future. I'll be respectful. If the president wants to secure the border, send your people somewhere else. We've got this covered. Today, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem toured Shelby Park. Noem says she supports Texas's razor wire, which is acting like a border wall.
It's effective in places and it helps slow down people crossing illegally. And I defend Texas's right to keep it in place.
And Brett, this evening we have some fresh numbers for you. Last month there were 19 people on the FBI terror watch list arrested here along the southern border. That brings the total for this fiscal year so far to 50 people arrested on that terror watch list. Brett.
And Matt, those numbers are staggering. But the Border Patrol, are they saying they're not going to cut the wire or they're not going to step aside? I mean, are we seeing the showdown develop here?
Yes, in a statement, U.S. Customs and Border Protection says Border Patrol.
He's gonna keep blocking. Yeah. Nice.
The acting governor of Texas, the lieutenant governor, say they don't want Biden's border agents in here at all.
Okay, we're going to follow this closely more on the panel. Matt, thanks. The fight within the Republican Party over legislation to address the border crisis is accelerating tonight. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is taking severe criticism from conservatives in the Senate, loyalists to former President Trump over his tactics, and now the House Speaker is expressing pessimism about the bill. Before anyone has seen the text as of yet, senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram is on Capitol Hill tonight.
House Speaker Mike Johnson warns that a possible Senate border deal is, quote, dead on arrival. Johnson reduced to relying on scuttlebutt. The Speaker only hearing, quote, rumors about the Senate plan. That's because no one still knows exactly what's in the bill.
We gotta see the text before we do anything else.
Senate negotiators claim they're close.
We have the outlines of the deal. We've had it for several days. It's 90+% written.
But we've heard that since early January.
Next hopefully this week to be able to get that out. Everybody will have time to be able to read it. It's going to be jammed in this process.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell still supports bipartisan border talks, but conservatives accuse McConnell for the wrong team in the border battle.
I actually think Mitch knows exactly what he's doing. He's just negotiating for the same objectives that Chuck Schumer has.
Conservatives contend a border agreement could weaken the hand of the leading candidate for the GOP presidential nomination, former President Trump.
We should not be voting for anything as Republicans in the Senate if the Republicans in the House don't support it.
There's a long-standing feud between McConnell and Trump.
We have to get rid of Mitch McConnell, by the way.
McConnell sidestepped questions about more Republicans to Mr. Trump, but not him.
Will that appear strange if you, the top Republican in the Senate, are not endorsing him?
In fact, if you'll recall, I'm
Oh, fuck.
September, the UN World Court is calling on Israel to take all measures to prevent a genocide of the Palestinians in Gaza. The court stopped short of demanding rejection of the truce request, saying it had endorsed the country's right to self-defense. Palestinians
I'm getting shaved, dude.
rebuke of Israel's wartime tactics. The U.S. is temporarily suspending donations of the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees. This comes after the agency reports several of its own employees may have been involved in the October 7th Hamas massacre inside Israel. White House correspondent Peter Ducey has the latest.
That's not my dad's house, because I came to see
The White House officials tell us they are going to get us the exact amount of U.S. dollars that have gone to this group. But we know that over the past several years, it's been hundreds of millions of dollars.
that I have.
Have suspended any
No, asking him dead.
or
Asking
yet to
him
be
dead.
allocated
For a
funds
loan.
for UNRWA.
It's not very big. It's
UNRWA
like
has been held up as the main way to get U.S. aid into
Can I give my
Gaza.
title?
The work that the UN is performing in Gaza is quite literally life-saving.
Well,
White House officials assured taxpayers that they would not be diverted to Hamas by UNRWA.
You can't hold them accountable for the depredations of Hamas.
But now as many as a dozen UNRWA employees are being investigated for alleged involvement in the October 7th terrorist attack. The State Department says the United States is extremely troubled by the allegation. The House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman, not as surprised, Michael McCall writes, for years there's been extensive evidence that UNRWA is not a neutral arbiter and that their anti-Israel bias is widespread and systemic. That's why the Trump administration suspended funding to UNRWA. The Biden administration resumed funding and explained why.
We can help drive UNRWA in the ways that we think it is in our interest and consistent with our values to do.
Despite obvious problems with vetting, White House officials aren't ready to cast UNRWA aside forever.
Wait.
Up until today, U.S. policy then has been, we don't negotiate with terrorists, but we will give them hundreds of millions of dollars.
Come on now, that's conflating here. This is not. That's like saying the whole UNRWA is a terrorist organization. You know who is a terrorist organization? Hamas, not UNRWA.
Kirby also conceded it would be bad if just one aid worker tied to UNRWA was possibly involved in a terrorist attack like the ones on 10/7. As a result of an investigation, officials here are saluting UNRWA as doing what they call meaningful work in Gaza. Brett?
Let's have another topic. Peter, President Biden pausing new U.S. exports of liquefied natural gas. Why?
Yeah, it's because they think liquid natural gas, LNG, is bad for the climate.
We have to fight for clean air in our communities and to lower costs for American families, including energy costs. Today's pause, new natural gas export approvals recognizes the climate crisis for what it is, the existential threat of our time. It's a threat, a serious threat.
This move is going to pause 4 projects in the U.S. at the moment, but the impact on climate remains unknown right now because some developing countries that suddenly won't be able to get liquid natural gas may soon have to turn to coal. Brett?
Okay, Peter Ducey live from the North Lawn. Peter, thanks. Stocks were mixed today. The Dow gained 60, the S&P 500 lost 3, the Nasdaq fell 55. For the week, the Dow was up 2/3 of a percentage point, the S&P 500, and the Nasdaq gained about 1. A U.S. warship shot down a missile fired at it by Yemen's Houthi rebels. The attack on the USS Carney marks an escalation in the conflict. Britain reports one of its vessels was struck by a missile and was on fire in the Gulf of Aden. The USS Carney is attempting to provide assistance. Up next, former President Donald Trump reportedly vowing revenge as he seeks to wrap up the Republican presidential nomination. We'll take a look at where that stands first beyond our borders tonight. A court in Moscow extending the pretrial detention of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich until the end of March. That means the journalist will spend at least a year in custody. He was detained last March on espionage charges, which he denies. NATO forces are engaged in what are called the largest military exercises since the Cold War. 90,000 service members from all 31 NATO countries and Sweden are participating. That includes 26,000 U.S. troops. Russia is calling the maneuvers openly provocative. And this is a live look at London. One of the big stories there tonight, Britain's King Charles is said to be doing well after having planned treatment to address an enlarged prostate. A royal source saying the prince was admitted, the king rather, was admitted to the same hospital where his daughter-in-law Kate is recovering from Donald's surgery performed last week. The king, who entered the hospital with Queen Camilla at his side, visited Kate at the clinic after he arrived. Just some of the other stories beyond our borders tonight. Right.
At Fisher Investments, we may look like other money managers, but we're different.
You can't be that different.
We are. We have a team of specialists not only in investing, but also in financial and estate planning and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that.
Yes, and as a fiduciary, we always put their interests first.
But you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, we have a simple management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Huh. We're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Every day can be extraordinary with rich, creamy, delicious 5A total yogurt.
How can you be sure you're getting the right deal?
I have this actually next to you. This one's like your last boyfriend. It's got issues.
A used car. Just say, show me the Carfax value. You'll get the most accurate price based on the vehicle's accident history. Shop at the all-new Carfax.com.
Why are women everywhere raving about Sono Bello?
Today is reveal day. Here we go. Look at this. I love my new body. I love my new shape.
You take fat anywhere in the body that's concerning to you.
Once the fat is removed and thrown away, that's it. It's gone. I'm loving life. I'm loving all my fitting clothes.
I got to buy 4 brand new bikinis. Join thousands of other women. Call or go to sonobello.com.
We are often falsely taught that nutrition is complicated, and we need to take 20 different vitamins a day to stay healthy. It's not complicated. Mother Nature has done the hard part for us. All we have to do is get it into our body. We all need good nutrition, and we all need a healthy source of fiber. Less than 5% of Americans are getting enough fiber. Balance of Nature makes it easy. Balance of Nature's fiber and spices made from whole ingredients, just like the fruits and veggies, and is formulated to the same high standard. Simply put, it's the best fiber product on the market. I would take anything else. Together, fruits and veggies, fiber and spice make the whole health system. When you get enough fiber and enough nutrition through whole spices and whole fruits and vegetables, your whole world will change.
Our New Year's offer will end on January 31st. Get 35% off plus a free vibrant spices by using discount code BOOM.
How do you make like it never even happened? Now, ADT professionally installs Google Nest products. When the most trusted name in home security adds the intelligence of Google, you home with no worries. Brought to you by ADT. Democrats avoiding America's issues.
Economy, immigration, crime, foreign policy.
Jesse has a much-needed reality check tonight on Prime Time.
So you have diabetes and your glucose is headed low. Dexcom G7, the most accurate CGM, can alert you before you go too low. Now that's more peace of mind with Dexcom G7. The new Dexcom G7.
I am actually lost. Fuck.
Your phone and watch, so you can always see where you're heading without finger sticks. Dexcom G7 is the most accurate CGM, so you can manage your diabetes with confidence.
Attention parents of children